And overall, including the playoffs, 201 wins with only 126 losses and 2 ties. Oh, those ties, Priest. I know you love those ties.
No,
All right.
I like ties, man. You cannot end the game in a tie because, what's to say from that? Is there a trophy that gets you win? Do you raise up a trophy?
Oh, did you get in trouble for this?
Yeah, so, then it was obviously a fine to remove your helmet. And,
right.
to remove your helmet. So I'm not thinking this. I'm still
it
caught up,
was.
like Matt Simon says. I'm so caught up in terms of how I feel
Yes.
right now. I'm in the moment. I'm frustrated. Anyways, I snatched that helmet off. I slam it on the ground. I'm just like, I'm mad. I'm just mad.
And Priest has decided that he's leaving the field at this point. And he wants to leave the field because he doesn't like the way he's being treated by the head football coach. Then there were some very cute remarks. And I need Priest to go back on the field. And so I go, Priest, you got to go back out there. And Priest looks at me just as stern as he could. And he said, no.
Yeah, give me the keys to the kingdom, 'cause I came, I saw, I conquered it all.
All right, Priest Holmes, we're back again for another episode of the Home Stretch. My name is Mark. You're, of course, Priest Holmes. Priest, we're back from L.A. How do you feel post LA? Like, you feeling good? Did your lungs open up? We got some good exercise while we were out there.
Yeah.
How you feeling, man?
Yeah, lots of good exercise, lots of good sightseeing. Had a chance to see the Hollywood sign, so was pretty excited about that. But overall, man, football has been good. The way that this first week of playoffs has happened, I couldn't have wanted for things to happen the way that they did. And of course, we'll get to those teams and how our picks came out.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we had a heck of a weekend of playoff action. The wild card round did not disappoint. Almost every single game was super close. They were wild. They were fun. But, Priest, we're going to check our receipts at the door. We both went 3 for 3 with our picks. Can you believe it? We did it, man. All 6. We nailed it.
Yeah, that's good, man. I'm telling you, Bet365. And if anybody was listening, of course, that was tuning in and watching us on different platforms, man, we had a solid pick. So I'm pretty excited about that outcome.
Yeah, we gave some good advice. We'll just say that. We gave some good advice. All right. Before we dive into the thick of it as we head towards the divisional round, which is coming up this weekend, let's get a quick reaction about this Mike Tomlin news. This broke at the time of this recording. This broke just the day before. We weren't sure what was going to happen. We were talking about what would happen with Mike Tomlin if the Steelers were to lose or win. They obviously lost, and Mike Tomlin decided to step down after 19 seasons, 2 Super Bowl appearances, one of those which he won, so he has 1 Super Bowl. He made the playoffs 13 times of those 19 seasons. He won the AFC North 8 times. He didn't have a single losing season at the helm. That is incredible, and a win percentage of just below 63%. And he tied, it always works out this way, he tied for the most regular season wins in Steelers history with Chuck Noll. And Priest, could you imagine only 3 coaches from 1969 all the way up to 2025? That's wild, man.
Yeah, exactly. You say it's wild. I mean, just to have that longevity, we go all the way back to 2007. That was the year I was leaving the league, and as a head coach, he's done a tremendous job. So hats off to him. I'm sure that, the decisions that he and his family will make going forward will probably be in the best interest of them going, as far as their future is in concerned. But excited about what he's been able to do. On a sour note, man, for them to go out the way that they did, though, that's a tough one. And then, of course, you got a 42-year-old quarterback trying to save the day. He was tripping over his feet, with Rodgers, man. So it was a tough game for them.
Yeah, tough game overall. It's hard to believe Tomlin's only in his early to mid 50s. You'd think after almost 20 seasons, this guy would be 60, 70 years old. He started coaching in his 30s, head coaching there in Pittsburgh. So yeah, we'll see if he decides to flip the switch and head to media. I feel like he's perfect for that, on the other side of the coin. But, all these teams with vacancies, which is just about every team in the AFC North except for the Bengals. Go figure. They're all looking for coaches. So we'll see. I know Tomlin's going to be a hot commodity out there, whether it's on the media side or on the coaching side. So congratulations to him on a wonderful career as a coach. Definitely an automatic first ballot Hall of Famer, in my opinion, with all the success he's had on the coaching side. So we'll see if he gets there. He finishes with a 193, 114-2 regular season record. And overall, including the playoffs, 201 wins with only 126 losses and 2 ties. Oh, those ties, Priest. I know you love those ties.
No,
All right.
I like ties, man. You cannot end the game in a tie because, what's to say from that? Is there a trophy that
I
gets you
know.
win? Do you raise up a trophy? I don't know how that. Now, let's say if there's a Super Bowl game and there's a tie, how do we play that out? How's that get?
Yeah. How do you play that out? You just keep playing and
You
playing
just
and
keep
playing.
playing
So
and playing until somebody comes up with the points, right?
that's right. All eyes on those kickers in that scenario.
There it
All
is.
eyes on the kickers.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, Priest. Go
No,
ahead.
I'm just saying for a kicker, there's been some kickers this season that, obviously ended on some missed field goals, man, that were detrimental to not only that game, but also, with the Baltimore before going into the playoffs. But, for a kicker to redeem himself in a Super Bowl game, that's the way to do it.
That's the way to do it for sure. But anytime I think of Super Bowl and I think kicker, I think Adam Vinatieri. He's the
Same here.
first one that comes to mind.
Yes.
First one, man. And I believe he was like the first $1 million kicker too. If somebody out there correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like he's the first kicker to get that like bigger contract, especially for a kicker, and deservingly so. If you're going to win someone a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but he made it look smooth. He had that
Yeah.
debonair smooth, walking up to make the kick. And he was pretty guaranteed, that he was going to get it through the upright. So, hats off to him and all the the kicks that he's made, man. He made kicking look good.
Yeah, and just when you thought he was done, not to hang on Adam Vinatieri here, but when you thought he was done after he moved on from the Patriots, you're like, all right, this guy's going to retire. He's done. He went on to Indianapolis and kicked for like another, feels like 15 years. And
That's
he
right.
was
Keep it
super
going.
successful there too. Yeah. Oh, kickers, long careers. All right, Priest, these playoffs, they move forward with or without us, whether we're paying attention or not. But of course, we're paying attention. Divisional round. There's only 4 teams left in each conference. And like I said before, we each went 3 for 3 with our picks. So I'm excited to talk about these matchups. But I want to get a quick vibe check from you of
Okay.
all the teams that were discarded, all the teams that lost in the wild card round. If you're feeling like they're trending up or trending down. So pretty quick answers from you. The Steelers, 7th consecutive playoff loss. Man, that's hard to believe. Mike Tomlin is obviously gone now. Will Aaron Rodgers retire after 21 seasons? But remember, those first few seasons, he was on the bench behind Brett Favre. So it's not a true 21 seasons. And then this reaction to the Steelers chanting "Fire Tomlin." Obviously, he's gone, but Steelers trending up, trending down.
Definitely trending down. I think they're going to be in that state for a while, just with the vacancy with the head coach. And then, of course, you have got a quarterback in Aaron Rodgers that's saying that every game is his last game. So, you're not exactly
Right.
sure where that is going to end up with the quarterback position. And so you need a true leader. Obviously, I think a young guy is going to have to come in there and revamp this team.
All right. The Carolina Panthers, they broke a 7-year playoff drought. They got into the playoffs with a less than 500 record, 8-9, which is crazy. But Bryce Young threw for 264 yards on 21 of 40 passing. He did get 1 TD, 1 interception. And Rico Dowdle frustrated. His reps have been cut, the second half of the season after kind of blowing up and breaking out. Could he be headed back to Dallas? That's the rumor. He could get a second chance in Dallas. Maybe he was misused there. He's got an opportunity to do so. Panthers, trending up or trending down?
Let's see. The Panthers definitely, I think, trending down. Although
Okay.
they were able to make the playoffs with the record that they had. But it just shows you when you get ready to play with the big dogs, man, that record does come into play. And then for Rico, definitely, I think he's been very productive the last 2 years with 2,000-yard rushes back to back. If he has an opportunity to leave and go back to Dallas Cowboys, I think at the end of the day, they'll get a productive back. And he's got his experience and he'll be going into his 4th year. So he definitely knows what to do regardless of what team he's on.
All right, back to Texas. We'll see what happens. All right, the Packers. they've lost 4 of their last 5 playoff games. If you can, they lost in the NFC Championship a couple years ago, and they haven't won since, or just one game. The impact of Micah Parsons' injury, how key was that? And only 2 games separated that entire division, if you can believe it, from top to bottom. So Packers, are they sitting pretty, and maybe they maintain, or are they trending up or trending down? What do you think?
Definitely, I think trending up. I think they weren't able to close out many of the games this season, and then they showed that in the playoff game with having a lead, how embarrassing that was. But at the end of the day, trending up, and with Micah Parsons coming off of injury, they'll be ready to go.
Okay. All right. That division's going to be interesting for a few years, in my opinion. All right. The Jacksonville Jaguars, they got real hot second half of the season, and they returned to the playoffs for the first time in 3 years. And this is interesting to say, Priest, but can we say that this finally was the breakout year for Trevor Lawrence? Because he was so touted coming out of college as like the second coming. This guy's going to do it all. And he kind of meandered a bit. But this year, boy, did he turn on the Jets. What do you think? Trending up, trending down for Jacksonville?
Let's see. So Jags definitely trending up. And, you talked about Trevor Lawrence, I think, as a quarterback, young guy, being a leader, showing his versatility on the field, running the ball a lot, getting into the end zone with his legs. And definitely we know that he can throw the ball. I think as a leader, this experience for him to get as close as they did, to get a little taste of what it feels like and what it looks like, to get this close, I think it's an opportunity for him to get back for spring training and get back in the spring and get his team ready to go.
I agree with you. I think they're going to be a tough team to beat next year. Look, they finished with the number 1 run defense in the regular season and 3rd best defense overall. And Priest, I'm just gonna mention something. Did I call the ill-timed interception to seal the game for the Bills? Did I do that? Did I do that for sure?
You've been pretty lucky. I think you've lucky
Yeah.
on your side,
Yeah.
during this home stretch, man. And so you've been calling it like it is. So great job.
Yeah. That was well, I needed that because that was Bills were my pick. So
Yes.
I'm not wishing bad luck on the Jags, but thank you for that. All right, the Eagles, defending champs, bounced in the first round. The 2025 dysfunction carried over right into the postseason. A.J. Brown, is he definitely gone? And did Jalen Hurts' status, his stock, did it take a hit after that playoff loss? Trending up, trending down, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, you know what? Just being a defending champion, and everyone's always gunning to knock that champion off the table. So they were able to do that, obviously, in that game. But I think at the end of the day, if you talk about AJ Brown, I think he'll be leaving, and then also with Jalen Hurts, I don't think it diminishes anything about him. Incredible quarterback, great leadership, with his team, demeanor on the field. At times, it's just too smooth sometimes, it's just too smooth. Sometimes you just got to have that attitude and get excited to really lead that team. And so I think that's where, it may have been a little bit of that dysfunction this year in terms of who do we turn to and who's being a true leader on the team.
And they let their offensive coordinator go too, man. After 1 year, they've had 1, 2, 3. I feel like they've had 4 or 5 offensive coordinators over the last 6 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You
Well,
got to have
Mark, you know what they
consistency,
say,
right?
NFL not for long. So that doesn't only go for players, that goes for coordinators. Obviously, you see Mike
Yep.
Thompson, it goes for head coaches as well.
Yep.
We've seen it, and with the Harbaugh's, also being another coach that's
Mhm.
been departed from his team, right? So not for long in the NFL. So we'll see what happens, man, this season.
Uh-oh. All right, the Los Angeles Chargers. Will the real Justin Herbert please stand up, man? This guy, I feel like he's super, super talented, but he's not showing up in the big games. And is this the ceiling for the Chargers? Are they trending up or trending down? Are we ever going to see anything better out of the Chargers than a first-round exit in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think hopefully. I think the Chargers definitely have a competitive team. It's just that if your quarterback is getting hit and the defense is putting that helmet on him, it's very difficult for most quarterbacks to withstand that. So if they're getting too many hits, it just shows the true to form that most quarterbacks, man, they get razzled, they get dazzled, when they start getting hit, and it just showed in that game versus the playoff game with the Chargers.
That's right. That's right. All right, we'll see what happens with the Chargers. They play in a tough division too, because the Chiefs are going to bounce back.
Breaking news from Bet365. New customers bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. Sign up, place a bet for $5 and get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, player props, futures, and so much more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365.
Hey, do you have a gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. Or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. 21 plus only, 18 plus in Kentucky. Please gamble responsibly. Must be present in Arizona, Colorado, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, and select parishes in Louisiana, Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. $10 minimum deposit required. Terms and conditions apply. In-app only.
All right, Priest. It's never ordinary at Bet365. We know this, and the playoffs have taught us such. The regular season taught us this, and all of our wild predictions. And we've been, in picks, we've been pretty awesome at this, man. We've been nailing our picks. All right, let's talk NFL divisional round. There's 4 games, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. We'll take a look at the AFC first. The Bills taking on the Broncos in Denver, so they'll be at Mile High. What has to happen for the Bills to be successful here on the road against a tough defense who has just found a way to win every game, whether it's been 1 point or 3 points or 5 points? How can the Bills get this done?
Yeah, I think, again, it rests in the arm and hands of Josh Allen at the end of the day. He's going to be the leader on that team. He takes that team to a W. He also will take that team to an L, But I think going into Denver Stadium, it's going to be very difficult because that team is going to be ready to play. The Denver Broncos have been rested. They've got a young quarterback that's willing. I don't think he's willing to let any of this stardom go away anytime soon. So I think Denver definitely has the advantage for the home game.
All right, and then we've got the Texans taking on the Patriots on Sunday. This is the most intriguing matchup to me because you've got this incredible defense in Houston and then this potent offense in New England, and they're playing at home, and just Drake May is just Drake Maying it up, man. It doesn't. He looks like he's beyond his second year playing. And the Patriots kind of play this. I'm going to correlate this to like the San Antonio Spurs when they were on their big run in their championships. They're not doing anything flashy. They're not doing anything crazy. It's all fundamental football. And maybe some people think that's boring, but that's how they're winning, and that's how Vrabel's getting it done there in New England. I'm going to ask you this: what do the Pats need to do to win and beat this Texan defense at home?
Yeah, I just think that Drake May just needs to continue to be special. When you look at just his QBR and his rating and, how productive he's been with the ball, I think he has the advantage. He has an opportunity to lead his team again. And so he's got some really wonderful things. I still think that, between Stevenson and Henderson, those running backs, there's due a breakout run from one of those running backs, and I'm hoping that it could be Henderson. I don't know. I'm just favorable for Henderson to have a breakout game.
Okay.
In the playoffs, but not much production at the end of the day when you think of one particular running back with the Patriots being able to say, hey, let's just run the ball. Let's get the first down, and in the red zone, let's score. I think Diggs and, of course, Kayshawn, big receivers, they have an opportunity to be something special as well. But as far as New England Patriots, they've just got to play a solid ball game, and then everything that Drake has brought into this season and into this postseason, I think he continues to be special. He came in very polished, and now we've seen him be a true leader.
That's true. That's very good. So you think it's going to be a running attack that can beat this Houston defense, not a passing attack?
Yeah, I think so. Even with the Texans having such a strong defense, and of course they're going to put a lot of pressure. They're going to have to, and when I say they, New England Patriots, they're going to have to balance off that offense, and they've got to get that production going with the running game. And it always makes it much easier, especially for a younger quarterback, that if you can get your running game going early, it just opens up everything else on the receiving side.
Agreed. I think the big X factor in this game is going to be CJ Stroud and that Texans offense. If they show up, I think it's their game to lose. If the Pats can kind of quell that and slow it down and stop it early, I think it's the Pats game. I think that's where I'm looking for this, because I know the Patriots offense is going to be good, and I know the Texans defense is going to be good. I think it's going to come down to CJ Stroud and his performance. We'll see.
Well, that's the thing. You have Stingley, and you also have Kamari Lassiter, and so then you have Jalen Petrie. So when you say the passing game is going to be good, well, I don't know. I mean, I think there's a secondary that can really disrupt and make those throws very, very difficult. But again, I mean, with Drake, man, this is like he hasn't done it before, and this is like your first opportunity, to step into a very big show and be that leader and perform. But you're going against a really tough defense. So it's going to be difficult for him. And that's the reason why I'm saying they've got to establish the running game to help out Drake May.
Makes sense. All right, let's flip the coin over to the NFC. First up on Saturday, the 49ers, who flew from west to east, took care of the defending champions. Took a trick play, pretty cool trick play, but they got it done. Jennings with a nice touchdown pass and a heck of a catch by McCaffrey to get that touchdown. But the 49ers taking on the Seahawks, the best team in the NFC, all behind Sam Darnold, believe it or not. I mean, we shouldn't be questioning at this point. They just put up points. It's what they do, the Seahawks. So what's it going to take for the Niners to pull off a miracle and knock out the NFC best team in the Seattle Seahawks?
Well, in the 49ers, you have Purdy, you have McCaffrey. And so just as we saw, obviously, in that first.
And no Kittle.
No Kittle. But just like we saw, even though it was a trick play to McCaffrey, it just shows his versatility as a running back, nearly hitting 1,000 yards as a receiver, over 1,000 yards as a running back. He just continues to show up and be the professional running back that he is, and he's just making plays for his team. So 49ers definitely pretty balanced. Obviously they don't have Kittles, but how that works against Seattle, I think Seattle just have to have a balanced offense, and they've done that pretty much. I think when you look at the running game between Zach and Kenneth Walker III, Zach having 730 yards, roughly 1,027 for Kenneth. It's one of those things where you got a running back duo that's taking care of business in the backfield, and then of course their receiving game is something exceptional. So I'm excited. Let's see how that game turns out.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one. I'm pumped to watch that one as well. All right, and finally, the last matchup, the Los Angeles Rams versus the Chicago Bears. Let's go, Caleb Williams, finding a way to get it done, comeback win. I don't know in my opinion, who's really favored here. My gut wants to say the Rams are favored, but the way these Bears just find a way to get it done, and Caleb Williams just stepping up to the plate.
Yes.
Are they favored? I don't know. What are your overall feelings about this game?
Overall feelings, I think obviously for me, I would say the Rams definitely are the ones being favored, just because of the production that they've done consistently throughout the year. With the Chicago Bears, they've been up, they've been down. They've had to come back and win games. And I think if you get behind on the Rams, with Matthew Stafford leading that offensive group, if you get behind versus them, I don't think there's no coming back. So it's one of those things. It's got to be a tight game. It's got to be a defensive game for Chicago in order to stay into the game.
Okay, and they got to score first and early so that they're not trailing. I see what you're laying down there. All right, here we go. This is it. This is what's on the line. We're going to assign each game a certain amount of points. We're each going to pick 2. Last week we picked 3 because there were obviously more games. And our first game we're going to assign 3 points to, and our second game we're going to assign 2 points to. So the big question for you, Priest Holmes.
Yes.
Do you want to pick the first game, or do you want to pick the second and third game, and whoever picks first picks the fourth?
All right.
You feeling pretty strong about any of these? What do you think?
Well, I feel very strong about what's going to probably take place. It's definitely with the Texans. I got a good feeling that defense wins championships, right? So I'm not saying who that is, but we know defense wins. So
you want to pick first?
But
you're gonna go first?
Yeah, let me go first.
Okay, go ahead. Pick your game. Is it going to be that Texans-Patriots game? You feel pretty sure?
Defense wins ball games. It's never going to change. So I'm going Texans.
Oof. All right, let's go. 3 points for the Texans. Priest Holmes. That's man, these are all dangerous picks. I'm not going to lie. All right, so I got to go 2 in a row. What game am I going to leave you with? That's another big question here.
Let's
All
go.
right, I'm going to go for this 49ers Seahawks game. That's going to be my 3-point play.
Okay.
I think Purdy is a winner, man. He's just a winner. And
Yes.
McCaffrey's hot. Trick plays or not, it doesn't matter. But I think this Kittle injury is going to be too much of an X factor. San Francisco on the road again, second week in a row. You know, they had to travel all the way back to the West. Seattle nice and rested, ready to go. They're putting up points. I think they put up just enough points to take care of business at home. So I'm going 3 points with the Seattle Seahawks.
Okay. Seattle. All right. I see where you're going.
Yeah, I'm going Seattle.
Okay. You're going,
And that's
you're going over like the way that the ball is distributed, amongst their top
Mhm.
players. Seattle
Yes.
has such a balance and has a great core on the offensive side of the ball. And then defensively, they've done everything that they needed to do, in order to win these ball games. So I see you.
Yeah.
Go Seattle.
And it gets loud in Arrowhead. We also know it gets really loud in Seattle as
There you go.
well.
Yes.
It's no joke there. So the home fans are going to be showing up for that. All right, my 2-point play. Oof. All right, man. Do I leave you with Rams, Bears, or Bills, Broncos? All these games so tough to pick. I'm going to go ahead and put 2 points on the Denver Broncos.
Okay.
I think this is where the Bills run out of steam. I think the magic ends in Mile High for Josh Allen. I mean, he is a great player, but if you rely only on one player all the time, constantly, he's bound to have a bad game. I think this is where it happens. The Broncos find a way. That defense is tough. And I think Bo Nix is going to have a special game, an unexpected special game. He's going to be the Josh Allen of this game, Bo Nix. And I think it's going to be very low scoring, and the Broncos win like 13-10. It's going to be real close. Broncos win 13-10. So my 2 points going to the Denver Broncos. Their magical season continues into the AFC Championship game. So that leaves you with the Rams and the Bears. Chicago Bears at home. Matthew Stafford, potential MVP on the road. Who's it going to be, Priest, for 2 points?
Man, this is a tough one. Just because you got that production out of the Rams, Matthew Stafford, Devontae Adams. Oh, man, where do you go with this? Oh, man. You know what? Let's just keep it the way it should be. Let's go Chicago. At home.
Oh!
Let's go Chicago at home.
You had me completely believing you were going Rams, man. But you're feeling it. You're feeling what's happening in Chicago. You think it's all magic there, and it ain't going to stop.
Well, I'm telling you this. The X Factor is the chant that I've seen so many times post-game that the Chicago Bears are chanting. And when I tell you that galvanizes not only a team, it galvanizes a city. So
Sure.
I'm going with the Bears at home with their fans, and the X Factor is the head coach for the Chicago Bears. That's who wins that game.
I love it. I love it. First year there, and he's made a difference. There's no doubt about that. And can I just give a huge shout out to those Chicago Bears cheese grater,
Yes.
foam hats that they were wearing? That was awesome. And Caleb Williams just grinding that cheese post
Oh,
game
yeah.
on
Yeah, that was
set.
good.
Oh, that he did him dirty. That was awesome. That was very, very cool. Took care of the Packers. Now they're going to take care of the Rams, led by potential MVP Matthew Stafford. All right, I like what you're putting down, Priest. Let's
Yes,
see if we
indeed.
can go 4 for 4 again with our picks this week. And as we move on from the divisional round of playoffs, we have a very special guest coming up here in just a second. This is your old running back coach while you were in Baltimore, Coach Matt Simon. And word on the street is, Priest, he's got quite a story to tell about you and one particular play in your career, and I can't wait to hear him tell it. Excited for Matt Simon.
Absolutely, man. Can't wait to, get a chance to talk shop, and that's kind of what we say in the running back room when you get a chance to get all your running backs together, your running back coach together. It's a fun time, but definitely there's some stories that, man, that go back 20 years, you know what I mean, that finally get a chance to be told. So it's exciting to see what he has.
Love it. Love it. All right. Without any further ado, here comes Coach Matt Simon.
Hey, do you have a gambling problem? Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. Or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. 21 plus only, 18 plus in Kentucky. Please gamble responsibly. Must be present in Arizona, Colorado, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, and select parishes in Louisiana, Maryland, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Virginia. $10 minimum deposit required. Terms and conditions apply. In-app only.
All right, Priest, we got a special guest joining us here on the home stretch. And a little more special than our previous special guest because you have a direct relationship with this person. I'm going to tee you up. Who's joining us right now? Who is it?
So I spent some time with the Baltimore Ravens.
Yes, you did.
Ted Marchibroda was the oldest coach in the league when I got there.
Yep.
All right. And then during my tenure there, I was able to have 2 running back coaches.
Okay.
So without that being said, Matt Simon was my running back coach for the Baltimore Ravens. He's joining us here today. I'm excited about this because we've spent a lot of time where our my former teammates are the ones that have kind of kept me in touch with what Matt Simon has been doing over the number of years since we've departed. But it's just exciting to have him here as a special guest. He's going to get a chance to be able to re-talk some old days about the Baltimore Ravens.
Nice. I love it.
I'd like to hear his thoughts on me as a running back.
Oh,
you know?
I got lots of questions.
Yeah,
for
I know you
him.
do.
I got lots
there
of
you
questions.
go.
I know you
for
do.
Mr.
So,
Matt Simon.
There you go.
yeah. Without further ado, let's introduce Matt Simon.
All right, here's Coach Matt Simon. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you guys. Thanks for having me. It's really a privilege.
Thank you for taking the time to do it. But before we get into the weeds and find out what you really thought of Priest Holmes, I got to ask you, with a man with 2 first names, is it always like a pain in the butt when you call customer service and they ask you for your last name first name last?
It goes back and forth all the time. It sure does. That's just it comes with the territory. You get used to it after a while. It truly does.
Well, I'm not going to reveal your email
but-
address, but it's one of the best in the biz. That's all I'll say.
Fortunate
welcome
they
in.
grab it, and that's a blessing. But and it stuck with me, and it obviously with its unique flavor, I held on to it best I could, and it's still working to this very day. There you go.
I
So
love it.
thank you, Mark.
All right, so Matt Simon, I want to get a little backstory on you before your paths crossed with Priest Holmes in Baltimore, ultimately. So,
All right.
so what were you doing in your life before, maybe even before you were a coach? How you got into coaching, and then how ultimately you wound up in Baltimore and met Priest Holmes?
Well, on my way to law school, someone talked me into coaching football. And once I started, I never made it to law school. I had made a decision that I was only going to coach high school football. I love the idea of teaching young men the whole 9 yards. It was a great experience, but then someone talked me into coaching college ball. And as I grew as a college football coach, of course, I had several mentors, great relationships in life that lead you, and as a friend of mine, Bill Walsh, just happened to say, "Hey, you could be a professional football coach."
Wait, hold on a second. A
So-
friend of mine,
I know.
Bill Walsh. Now, there's only one Bill Walsh. I mean, I'm sure there's other Bill Walshes out there, and I feel sorry for them because they have to live under the shadow of the name Bill Walsh. But wait, how did you become friends with Bill Walsh, and how did he convince you into coaching football?
Well, the for whatever reason, I think that timing is everything, and sometimes God puts people together. I happen to be the warm up convention speaker a couple of different times for Bill Walsh. So we would do these clinics, and for whatever reason, they'd always put me in as the warm up guy.
Okay.
And of course, when I started my lecture, the room was empty. Then I would always notice that the room would get full, and this auditorium would be packed with people at the end of my lecture. And of course, the next guy up is Bill Walsh, so the place is packed. For whatever reason, he actually was paying attention to me and talking. And later on, we meet on an airplane flying back to the West Coast. and he introduces himself to me, and of course, I knew who he was. He's the white-haired wizard, head football coach of the San Francisco 49ers. Everybody knows him,
That's right.
Yep.
and it was a very humbling experience. It was a great moment in my life. We became pretty good friends, and had a very strong relationship. Got a chance to work with him a couple of different seminars. We started doing things together, and he became a mentor in my life. And as I grew in coaching and moved forward, I became a head football coach, and I was looking for what the next step was for me. And there was a couple of head coaching openings, all those kinds of things that coaches go through.
Hmm.
The reality is Bill talked me into coaching pro football. So
Wow.
he set it up so I could go to work for the Denver Broncos, where they had a great running back by the name of Terrell Davis, and got a chance to work with him. And then this guy Brian Billick grabs me and takes me to Baltimore, takes me to Baltimore, Maryland, with this franchise, the Baltimore Ravens, and a great opportunity and a one of the most talented young running backs in the league. Priest Holmes was the starter there, and of course, I had a great opportunity to work with Priest. That's where we first meet. And I just think it was way too short, as they say. It was a couple of great seasons, um, but I knew that I had extraordinary talented guy, and if I could keep him on the field, that we were going to have he was going to do great things, and he did for us, and we had a phenomenal season his last year with us. And I always tell people that that Super Bowl never happens without the contribution and the sacrifice of a lot of special people, and Priest Holmes is one of them, without a doubt. He's the reason I have a ring.
Wow.
Oh,
High
look at that.
praise,
Oh, look
Priest
at that.
Holmes. High praise. Let's go. And another reason why Priest Holmes should be in the Hall of Fame. Am I correct, Matt Simon? Can we get this guy in the
Oh,
Hall of Fame?
without a doubt, extraordinary guy, extraordinary player, extraordinary athlete. Really phenomenal. And there were things he did that just are almost legendary. And and he obviously was the central figure at the Kansas City Chiefs, but there were moments of brilliance for us at the Ravens, and he really was he was really a star for us. Jamal Lewis, we were just trying to get him pointed in the right direction, get him to do all the things we needed him to do. And Priest really gave us the luxury to develop Jamal and get Jamal to become the great player that Jamal could become. I always said that every Batman needs a Robin, and for a while, Priest was the Batman, but ultimately he graciously gave Jamal that opportunity. But without Priest and his success and his abilities to really, one, help Jamal become a great player, but two, pick up the slack, so to speak, in some areas where Jamal was still not as talented and not as well versed skill wise in pass protections and pass concepts and those kind of things. Priest was a great compliment. I had a backfield that was a dream backfield for me.
That's so cool.
Look
Now,
at that.
Priest, not to tie this back to comic books as I always seem to do, but when you became Robin, Robin eventually becomes Nightwing, which ultimately is what you did when you went to KC and you crushed it over there. But man, high praise. And, we had Rob Robertson on the show not too long ago, Matt Simon, and he kind of gave me some insight into who Priest was behind the scenes because they were roommates together. So I learned a lot about Priest, his mentality, what he was like as a person back then. So paint that picture a little bit more for us. Like, what was your first impression of Priest? Like, what was that first conversation? And what type of player was he on the field, if you had to describe him?
He had great football instincts, but he's also very football smart. He was one of the probably knowledge of the game from a perspective of knowing defenses, defensive structures, being able to anticipate what teams were doing. You could communicate with Priest; he would pick things up instantly and actually could take it to the next level. He's one of those people that I've always fondly shared that, every good coach learns from his own players. And Priest would be able, we'd watch film together and he could tell me things that he saw the defense getting ready to do. And we would watch them together and we'd earmark them, so to speak. And so create timing wise. He knew all our protection concepts. We knew where the weaknesses were. We'd talk about those things. And then he could correct things on the field like nobody else's business. He made us a great football team.
That's awesome. All
Yeah.
right, Priest, I'll let you in here.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
I'll dig for some more dirt in a minute, but what do you when you hear that, coming from a coach and this time has passed and you're on the other side of the coin now, like how you feel, man?
Yeah, I feel really good about it. Most of these things you get a chance to hear, after you're done playing.
Yeah.
While you're in the middle of it, it seems and feels so different, because there's that competitive nature that you're trying to go against other players. There's that sacrifice, that piece that you have to sacrifice as a player as well. But some of the things leading up to Matt Simon becoming a running back coach, there was a number of other individuals that kind of like shaped me as well, and Ernest Byner was one of those individuals as well. With him being 35 years of age when I got into the league, and I always would say this, he'd come out to practice and he'd have to do all the same reps as we would do. He'd run the conditioning like we would, lift all the weights as well. But Ernest Byner, he was one that also told me about how to like run a running back room in terms of how do you work with your players that are other guys that you have to compete with. And so Ernest would be one of those guys that would tell me, first of all, he would cook a red velvet cake or bake a red velvet cake. You're right.
So random.
He would do that. And so the reason why I say this is because there's all these individuals that kind of like help you, become the player that you are. And then as I get to Matt Simon as a head coach, our in terms of like how we were in terms of like as an individual, I'm more reserved.
Mhm.
And Matt Simon, he's definitely one coach that he's going to be in your face. He's
Yeah.
he's going to be talking, and you're going to hear him like as you can hear like as we're going through this podcast. He's got a number of things, and he's got a lot of history behind him as well. So I think he pulled out those ingredients in me too, in terms of me being more reserved and knowing that as a player, I always knew that I was a student of the game. I
Mhm.
always knew that I would be prepared. I always knew I would lift the weights and be in shape. I know I wouldn't if it was for me to go out and have fun at night or just reserve my body and be ready for the next day of practice. I was one of those guys that I'd rather make that sacrifice than just have fun, right? And so I know as Matt Simon, had to work with me in the room. I knew it could be kind of challenging as well. So Matt, I have to ask you that as well. With me being as reserved as you probably can have that experience with me. What did you think in terms of like as we worked out and knowing that like this is the one thing I would say before we get to that, Matt, is that when I think of the Baltimore Ravens, I always knew that from a standpoint of having like the ultimate success with the Ravens, I knew it was limited. And the reason why I would say that is because when I was in the backfield and learning all the different running backs that came through Baltimore, I always knew it was more like 3 yards in a cloud of dust. So in terms of me being a runner and wanting to be in space, get on the perimeter, run screens, be put in a situation where it's a one-on-one or one-on-two matchup where I could have the advantage to beat a player, to put me in space. I always looked at the Ravens as 3 yards in a cloud of dust. So, as a running back coach, how did you see our offense? And then when you look at the differences between Eric Rhett, myself, Jamal Lewis, in terms of the guys that you've seen, in that backfield, um, what did you see the difference was in terms of the Baltimore offense and as a running back, how would they have success?
Well, I think you that's a great question. And in answering the question, the one of the things that's always been challenging to me as a coach, and in particular as a running back coach, is there's so many different styles that runners are different, and everybody brings a little bit different talent to the game, so to speak. Nobody fits in a mold, and that's one of the things that's always been key. And so, you get into a position where leadership, and it doesn't matter whether this comes all the way down from the general manager, the owner, or whether it comes all the way through the head football coach, but they all have this collective style. This is what we want to be. This is how we would like to win football games. And I think we're seeing all this transition in the NFL even right now, because sometimes at some particular point, people don't see it going the way they want it to. And a lot of it is about building chemistry and creating chemistry. In my experience as a coach, I've had all kinds of varieties of runners. I've had little guys, fast guys, slow guys, big guys, strong guys. The combination's been endless. Some guys are straight line runners. Some guys are, a great agility, make you miss guys. And everybody wants Barry Sanders. Everybody wants Walter Payton, but not all of them are built the same. And there are a lot of great runners that are variations of those combinations of guys, the Emmitt Smiths, and we could go on and talk about them all. Priest was really one of the great dynamic guys. And I came into a situation where people have a perception of how they want to win. Football teams are going through it right now. And it starts at ownership, and it goes down to the general manager, and it goes to the head football coach, and they perceive that this is how we want to win. And they have to mold the chemistry of their football team into something that they perceive is going to be successful. Being a running back coach, you got to fit into this profile, but most importantly, you have to recognize the talent you have in the room. And what I recognize is, as Priest put it very eloquently, and he wasn't this 3 yards in a cloud of dust, pounded, pounded, pounded type guy. And to fit into that kind of a profile and team was never going to be a great fit. It was going to wear on his body and beat him down to a point where exactly wouldn't be available. And as the Baltimore Ravens were growing, we were trying to create those dynamics, and I was trying to work with the room that I had and trying to get the best output out of it. The interesting piece of this thing was that Priest had some dynamics that I thought were extraordinary, and they were very evident to me. And so in communicating with him, it was kind of one of those things where I'm talking to a guy that doesn't say very much, who's really, really quiet, but he's listening. And he doesn't give you a lot big answers. He just gives you real simple answers. And he doesn't pontificate on all this stuff. He just gives you a real short, concise response. Um, Now I love that about him because he's honest and he's always very, very direct. And of course, I could tell stories of experience of the priest that are some of my favorites because they really speak to his competitive nature, and they also speak to the challenge that how he was trying to maximize his abilities to be the best for us at the Baltimore Ravens. It's part of why my heart was broken when I knew that he was going in free agency. I knew I was going to lose a great talent. And I knew that great talent was getting ready to go somewhere. We just didn't know where. And it took forever, Priest, for Kansas City to get it done, but it happened. And I was happy for him. I really was happy for him because he was going to find a place where he could be the feature, and they were going to build it around his profile and his dynamics. My hats off to Dick Vermeil because they were able to maximize that, and I think that was a beautiful thing. The Ravens, we decided that this profile we were going to be built around more like Jamal Lewis, and that was the profile that we were going to hang our hat on. Where I had great joy was I found, as I said before, a Batman and Robin combination where Priest could be the great complement to Jamal. He could do the things that Jamal couldn't do at that particular time and really do the things that Jamal wasn't able to do. And he also created a dynamic that was a real challenge for defenses. There were times we played Jamal and Priest at the same time, and the defense didn't know what to do. They didn't know whether to play nickel or to play dime. They didn't know whether to add another safety on the field, or take a linebacker or add another linebacker. And that dynamic created, conflict on the defense, and we were able to take advantage of it at the Ravens. But Priest's dynamics were really exceptional when you pair them with the other aspects of our team. I really believe that's why we were a Super Bowl contender. We had this incredible defense. We had this dominant defense, but it needed a functioning offense that could complement it, that could produce points when available, would not turn the football over, and not put the defense having to put out fires and risk, and complement with our special teams. And it was our combination. It was the way our football team won, and we did it in high fashion. We got to a point where we understood who we were, and we almost were unbeatable, and literally ran a stretch through the National Football League that was, without question, one of the more dominant performances in NFL history.
All right, I want to ask Coach Simon this because he complimented you so well on your character, your knowledge of the game, how well respective you were to everyone and yourself, and but you're telling me, Priest, that this guy was a screamer, right?
Oh, yes, he was a screamer.
And so, at what point did you open up the floodgates on Priest? Because maybe he just wasn't saying enough back to you because he was so reserved or so short. Or was it maybe just a play that wasn't executed correctly? But do you remember one good time you gave it to Priest, and what were the circumstances?
Well, I guess one of the things you don't remember is many of the moments of screaming and helter skelter, craziness. Um, and one of the things I think is important for me, and that is, I try to be, even with the energy and passion that I have about the game. My wife says it often, and that is, I try not to be negative in my communication, but I can be very demonstrative. I can be very passionate
Mhm.
in my voice. Um, Now, I will say this: that's where Priest, in trying to get him to respond, I could be passionate. But I have to tell you, one of my favorite moments was my head football coach was a very frustrated guy at particularly our first season in 1999, and Priest had just come through a hamstring injury and was finally back out on the field, and so we had this anticipation of being having this dynamic running game going in this game, and of course my boss had moments of frustration, and a lot of times people put all the pressure on the runner, and Priest will tell you, just like any runner will, is that a runner can be great if the offensive line can be at least be efficient, and if the offensive line's not efficient, it's hard to be a great runner. You're really left on your own, and that's the real challenge here. So Priest had one of these moments where it was hard to run the football. And of course, my boss, being as demonstrative and personality as Brian Billick is, makes
Yes.
a couple of comments that are fairly negative about his running back, Priest Holmes, which obviously reflects back on me personally. So I'm struggling with all this. And Priest has decided that he's leaving the field at this point, and he wants to leave the field because he doesn't like the way he's being treated by the head football coach. And then there were some very cute remarks. So Priest leaves the field, and he's frustrated. And yeah, and it's a tough day out there, to being honest. And over the headphones, my offensive coordinator calls a play that only Priest Holmes can run this play, and I need Priest to go back on the field, and so I go, Priest, you got to go back out there. And Priest looks at me just as stern as he could, and he said no. And I mean, like, absolutely, I'm not going. And I go, Priest. Now I'm like, I'm animated. You have to go.
Uh-huh.
You have to get out there right now. Now it's the cotton picking 40-second clock, and it's ticking right
Yep.
away.
Yes.
And Priest is looking at me, and he is irate. He is so tired of hearing all this negative language at him directed toward him. So he is like, no. And finally, I go, Priest, you got to go. And I point to the field, and I don't know what triggered, but he turned around. He runs right back out on that football field. He barely gets in the huddle. They break the huddle. It's a play action pass. Priest sneaks out the backside of the formation, runs down the sideline. The quarterback rolls out in the opposite direction, and lo and behold, Priest is wide open. He throws the pass all the way down the field. Priest catches it, weaves through two players, scores the touchdown, spikes the ball so hard that the ball flips into the stands.
Oh, man.
Then he takes off his helmet and spikes his helmet. The chin strap goes flying, earpieces, everything goes out of the helmet. And now he's running back down the sideline. And my boss, Brian Billick, he is so happy we scored this touchdown. He's running down the field with his arms open wide to Priest. And Priest is looking at him like with eyes like laser beams. So much that Brian takes about 5 steps toward him, then turns around and reverses direction and goes and hugs somebody else. I look at Priest. Priest he's ready to tear somebody apart. I'll never forget it as long as I live. Oh, it was one of the most amazing moments in football. Really, really, really incredible.
Can't wait to dig up this highlight. Now, Priest, what happens after this? What came with spiking your helmet? Did you get in trouble for this?
Yeah, so then it was obviously a fine to remove your helmet, and
right.
to remove your helmet. So I'm not thinking
was.
this. I'm still caught up,
was.
like Matt Simon says. I'm so caught up in terms of how I feel
Yes.
right now. I'm in the moment. I'm frustrated. Anyways, I snatch that helmet off. I slam it on the ground. I'm just like, I'm mad.
Yeah.
I'm just mad.
Yeah.
I'm pissed. And so, again, I know it's just all part of football, and being excited and stuff like that. But I was pissed. And so, anyways, you don't know then that you're going to get fined, right?
Right. Well, you're in the moment anyway. You're not conscious
right.
of that. Yeah.
It's not till I get to back to the locker room, and then my linemen are coming to me, and they say, "Man, a hell of a catch. Man, way to score that. I know you were pissed, but you will be fined in the morning." And I'm just like, wait a minute. And I'm just in my 3rd season. I'm still a free agent, undrafted guy.
Checks are huge.
Came in the hard way. I'm getting the minimum. And even at that time, it was something to be proud of, but still, comparing apples to apples, you know what I mean? It was something different, right?
Yeah.
And so anyways, sure enough, Monday comes and I look at my check, and in the league, you don't get a chance to
like fight it.
You can fight it.
Okay.
But you're gonna fight it after the money's already gone. You know what I mean?
Oh, right.
So it's one of those things.
So they take the money, ask questions later.
Yeah, they take the money, definitely. So there's a deduction line, and so it's funny, but I think the linemen at that time, I had some great guys, and it was one of those things where they like, man, don't worry about the fine, man. We'll help you out. So
Nice.
I was a young guy. They knew my frustrations, obviously. Coach Simon definitely spoke on it. But even when I think back to that game, I still remember that catch just like yesterday. Because just the frustrations that I had going through that league. So, Coach, you summed that up pretty well. I've never heard anyone talk about that play quite as exciting. But like I explained,
I remember the whole thing. Remember the whole thing.
Coach Simon, he was
to go back in the game.
He was one that was very passionate.
Yeah.
Very
you
passionate.
At me, no.
He must have been.
You're the only guy who can run this play. Go.
Veins must have been coming out of his head, like just.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! And I love the part too when you're coming back to the line where your teammates are, and you and Coach Billick like see each other, and it's a quick like going the other way.
Oh yeah, it was frustrations. Yeah.
So funny. Oh, well, this all makes sense now as to why you answered the question you did during the live show when
That's
I
right.
finally drug it out of you. There's some more context now. I get it. I get it. So A, how much did that helmet cost you? What was the fine on that?
You know,
Do you remember?
well, I was lucky, in today's time, that fine would probably be close to, 20,000,
Yeah, yeah.
25,000, something like that. But I think it was anywhere between 25 to $5,000.
Holy
If
cow,
I can just think
2,500
back.
to
Yeah,
5,000.
2,500. Yeah,
And
2,500 to
and
5,000.
this helmet, and Matt, if you're correct, this helmet bounces up into the or the football did, I guess. So the fan obviously got to keep the football and
He
stuff.
spiked that thing so hard that it went. I mean, he must have hit it right on the point, but that thing went ricocheted right into the second row.
Yeah, it was one of those
Hilarious.
things where I was
Oh my
hot,
God, that's amazing. We got
Uh,
to find the person who caught that football.
yeah.
Give a nice high five.
That'd be
Oh
it.
man, I love that story. Thank you for sharing that, Matt. That's amazing. And
Oh, you bet.
look, passion
You
on all
bet.
sides, man.
Yeah.
But you got the job done. You got the 6 points. Now, did you win that game? Was that a
We definitely won that game. Yeah.
that
That was
game-winning
definitely,
touchdown,
that was
or-
We
definitely,
did.
yeah,
We
that was
did.
definitely
We
one for
did
the
win
win.
that game.
Yeah, and so the other thing I was gonna say, Coach Simon, just in the fact that you being in the in the room with different running backs, I know you explained trying to fit the pieces in the puzzle to get the production out of your guys. Um, you know, what have you seen overall when it comes to running backs now that are in the league, and you see how they're producing? There's an additional game, so you're gonna have a lot more 1,000-yard rushers at the end of the year as well. Is there anything that you could speak towards what you see now with the running backs that are playing?
Well, and the fortunate thing is, you build on the runners today. The game is still the same game. It's just a matter of
Yes.
of the variations that people want to go about it. The dynamics to have a Priest Holmes in the way the game is played today is probably probably a great advantage because the game has lent itself more to the wide open aspects of throwing the ball down the field and the passing game and using the passing game and backs that can pass pro or help create the dynamics of matchups coming out of the backfield. The Christian McCaffreys are all versions of what I saw as my Priest Holmes. So the reality is, I think that even though the game the dynamics have changed a little bit, the runner itself and a runner's ability to impact the football game, all those fundamentals are still real. And there's always going to be a time in a football game where you have to make a yard. So then, the specialty type, the Derrick Henrys, the big bodied backs, the power backs, the Jerome Bettises, those guys have their moments too. Everybody brings something a little bit different, and I think that's where coaches really need to measure themselves a little bit and getting the most out of the talent that they have. And I think that's where the challenge is in today's football is when you accumulate groups and collections of talent, how do you maximize that group and create chemistry where they can be as successful on all aspects, to turn you into a consistent winner and challenge obviously for a world championship.
All right, so coach, what are you doing these days? Besides telling great
Uh,
stories about my cohort here, Priest Holmes, what are you
well,
up to, man? Are you still
and
yelling at people or what's
well,
going
yeah,
on?
having coached some really special guys like Priest Holmes has given me a little bit of credibility with some younger guys. So I've had opportunities to train some guys for the NFL Combine and get them ready for playing at the professional level. I've had guys like Jameer Gibbs. And had a chance to train him for the combine. David Montgomery. I've got a whole list of guys. Will Shipley. I mean, we could go on and on. Benny Snell, Chad Brown. There's a lot of the younger runners, and many of them reminding me of my guy Priest Holmes in a lot of different ways, and trying to help them take advantage of their assets and also teach and train them in the ways of the NFL, so to speak, and getting them ready to go to the next level. So some of that I've been doing in January and February of the months in the winter months and helping those guys get ready to go down to Florida and work and train some guys, and have had a lot of success. The guys that I've trained and worked with have done very, very well in the league. So that's been fun. I'm still a college coach, and I've been an offensive coordinator at Ohio Northern University. Had a really good season. Went to a bowl game. We were very productive on offense. I stepped away from coaching runners, which is kind of interesting. Being an offensive coordinator, I've been a quarterback coach, and had a 2,000-yard passer this past season and that type of thing. But I can't help but always have a thumb on the running game per se. So as a play caller, I want to always be really good at it, and I've really tried to help mentor our running back coaches and teach them in the ways that I think to help train runners to run the ball, not just run it effectively, but run it smartly. I was really proud of Priest the way he took care of the football. That was one of the things that I think have always had value is taking care of the football. And runners are responsible and accountable with their ball security, and that's one of the things I took great pride in. The fact that Priest had some phenomenal seasons with us while he was with us at the Ravens, and really took care of, took responsibility for how he played as a football player.
Well, Priest, I gotta say, I'm glad that our old friend, what's his name, Bill Walsh, who we just ran into, told us we should have Baltimore running back coach Matt Simon on the show. So I think it was worth it. So,
Absolutely.
So shout out to Bill Walsh, our buddy.
I know that's right.
Who told
Thanks
us-
again, Coach, for joining us. We definitely enjoyed your stories. You're still passionate. I can continue to see that. Keep leading the way with those young guys, and much success with your coaching.
Thank you very much. And again, you always got a warm place in my heart. My home always will be open to you. You're really one of the great stories of my life. Really blessed. I know that God's done some great things, and I'm really proud of you. Really proud of you.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
This has been a Playmaker production.